Welcome to I Didn't Know That, a show about things I didn't know. We're a little different today. We're going out in a trail groomer. I've always wanted to ride in one of these. We're gonna talk to Jared Clem from the Midnite Riders Snowmobile Club about grooming trails. So we're gonna hop in, we're gonna go a little ways, and then we'll stop. This is a little bouncy and a little noisy in there. All right, thanks for watching. Jared, thanks for doing this for one.
Sure, thank you.
Okay, so what kind of a machine are we in?
So we're in a trail bully, a 2016 trail bully. It's manufactured over in Germany and brought across. I don't know anything about the specs of the engine or anything, I just drive it.
Sure, and then what are you pulling behind?
So we have a drag that's behind. It's all hydraulic. It's got multiple points on it, so I can lift the front as well as the back, as well as I can put wheels down if I need to go across the roads.
So the Midnite Riders, how many miles do you groom?
So we have roughly 90 miles of trails, starting anywhere, Cormorant Village to Audubon to Lake Park area. We go as far over as Seven Sisters to the east, as well as we have a Pearl Lake Trail that goes up towards Detroit Lakes.
Wow. How long does it take? You don't do all those 90 miles in a day, right?
No. So when I groom, a very long day of grooming is about 25 miles. We do about 3.5, 4 miles an hour.
I really didn't know all these trails existed before I kind of got into this world with my husband, and it just doesn't happen overnight, does it? Like,
no.
How do these trail systems work?
There's a lot of work that goes into putting in snowmobile trails throughout the state. So first and foremost, the clubs have to somehow get their money in order to pay for all the infrastructure that goes in, right? So we get money, we get state and grant aid from the state that comes from the snowmobile registration. So when registration's down, we get less money. When registration's up, we get more money. We get miles, we get paid from the state by trail mile, not necessarily grooming mile. So we'll get funding that way, but we do a lot of other fundraisers and those types of things in order to earn money for the club. So that way we can not only take care of the trails, but we also try to do a lot of community work as well. For example, we hand out scholarships at the end of the season for college students, so that way they can go to college and do their thing. So we're constantly raising money. The other thing that goes into the trails, you got to take care of the trail. So there's you got to clean up the brush, you got to mow the trails, we got to cut trees, trim trees back. If trees are falling over, those things have to be cut up and taken out. So there's quite a bit of labor that goes into maintaining the trail. There's a signage committee that spends a lot of time putting out several different types of signs. One would be like directional signs, safety signs, caution signs, turn signs, those types of things. And then we also spend time putting signage up that has directions on it, so that way people know which way to go in order to get there. And then we have, there's a few groomers in our club. I'm one of them, and so we spend a lot of time on the trail grooming. We try to groom every week. That's not always possible because we're volunteers only, but we do spend a lot of time grooming and trying to take care of the snow when we have it.
So one thing I like to know is, okay, if you could tell somebody something about trail etiquette after you've groomed, what would it be? Like, what should snowmobilers know about driving on the trails?
Yeah, so a freshly groomed trail is, everybody's always looking for that freshly groomed trail, but what we'd like to see is when we groom, we would like to see the snowmobiles stay off of it for a while, so that way it sets up and freezes hard, and that way it keeps a good smooth pack, so that way it's easy for us to maintain over time. What we do see is that when we groom, sometimes especially on the weekends or when it's nice outside, we'll groom and somebody will come through and just tear up the trail, make it all rough again, and then it freezes rough, and then it takes quite a bit of effort to do that. The other thing about trail etiquette that's really important is make sure that you're not trespassing. So we spend a lot of time working with the landowners for easements and those types of things to be able to go through their land. And you have roughly about 5 feet on each side of the trail that's, within the trail that's not trespassing, but actually leaving the trail and going into people's woods and those types of things, that's all trespassing. And landowners get very upset over that, and eventually they will pull their easements and we won't be able to go through their land anymore.
Just watching you drive this, you're looking in your mirrors, you're pushing on those buttons over there. So as a driver, what all are you doing while you're grooming these trails?
Yeah, so when the trails are in good decent condition, it's fairly easy grooming. We're just changing the pitch and the yaw of our drag to make sure that we're got our blades down and we're trying to take the whoops and the bumps out, and then smooth it out the best we can. When the trails are not in good condition, like after a blizzard or something like that, we really spend time trying to get that trail packed down, as well as make sure that we're not going to get stuck. So the groomer, whoever's driving, they're paying attention to the drag, they're watching where they're going. They're also very cautious about sleds, because sleds don't always see you, especially coming around corners or in the woods. So we're always looking out for sledders to make sure that they see us and that they're getting out of our way. It's easier for them to get out of our way than us to get out of their way. But and then roads and traffic and those types of things, we really have to watch out. We groom along Highway 10, and there's a couple spots where we're actually up on the highway while we're trying to get around signage, so we're very cautious about the traffic that's coming by us, trying to make sure that they see us and that they're moving over as we're going across, like passing the lakes and stuff like that on Highway 10.
So why do snowmobiles need trails? They're made to go in the snow. Like, what's the reasoning behind trails?
So
grooming the trails, I should say.
So there's several different types of snowmobiles, right? But the main two are trail sleds and then mountain sleds, right? So mountain sleds can go out in the mountains. They can go on ungroomed trails. They have very large tracks, deep paddles, so they can get through the fluffy stuff, right? With trail sleds, they're meant to run on a trail, a groomed trail. And so yes, they can go through fields and those types of things, but the main purpose of them is to ride through trails, going through the woods, going through the ditches and all that, more sightseeing type stuff. So that's one reason why we groom. Second reason why we groom is to keep people where they're supposed to be with their snowmobiles, right? Where there's a groomed trail, you can ride on that. Where there's not a groomed trail, you really have to have landowners' permission before you can ride there.
So my brain, which is kind of a crazy brain, goes to, okay, if I'm the groomer, how do I know where to go that first time, that there's no trail that you're following?
Yeah, so this is my 4th or 5th year of grooming now, so I pretty much know the trails, by heart, and I'm able to move around. But I gotta tell you, the first time of the season, as well as the first year I was out grooming, I was in the fields in the wrong spot. And I'm also, like, just the same trail signs that are in place for the snowmobiles, I'm following those trail signs as well, so it makes it easier. I do use some GPS mapping on my phone once in a while to make sure I'm in the right spot, especially after a blizzard where I'm not sure where the trail quite is. It's not a trail maybe that I groom routinely. I will look at my phone and look at the GPS to see where that trail's at, so I can make sure I can find it.
So, Jared, you're part, like I said, of the Midnite Riders. What kind of is your club known for?
Our big event that we host every year, it's the first Saturday of every February. It's called the Old Timers Run. It starts off in Lake Park, and we have roughly 39 miles of trail that we host an Old Timers Run. They will come out. We have lots of people who come out with their old sleds, work on them, the week before, trying to get them to run again. Then they come to Lake Park, which is where our judging is at. We line all the sleds up based on different classes. They will judge those sleds on the best in show, those types of things. And then sometime right around 10:30 in the morning, we kick it off, and basically they go from Lake Park. They can go to Pit 611, they go to Hooligans, Roadhouse, Cormorant Pub, all the various areas around here, and it's just basically a run that they do that we all enjoy. We get quite a few, I think a few thousand people that show up for the event. So.
Oh, well, thank you, Jared, so much for taking time out of your grooming to let me tag along and ask these questions. Sure. And I just greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, the last thing I would say is that, these clubs, they require members in order to get the work done, right? So if there's anything that you're able to help us do, right, we have quite a bit of different work activities that we do throughout the course of the year, and so joining your local snowmobile club is extremely helpful to do that. And just even spending one day a year doing some trail grooming or something like that, cleanup, was very helpful for everybody.
Thanks for watching. I didn't know that. And thank you, Jared and the Midnite Rider Snowmobile Club. And I hope you learned a little something about snowmobiling and trail grooming. I know I did. We'll see you next week.